Hi, this is Hans, and today I'll be teaching you guys how to use sprites. And no, I'm not talking about the drink sprite, it's actual Java sprite. So what a sprite is that it's a 2D image that's placed over a background image. So imagine this is your app background, okay? And then you have a ball on top of it. This ball will be on a different layer than the background layer so that they don't interfere with each other. And because of this, you can move the ball anywhere on the screen and it won't even interfere with it. So that's what a sprite is. And it's created by rendering several frames together and looping through these frames so that you essentially have a animation so that so for example for the ball you can have different colors of the ball, and then when you move the ball across the screen you can have the ball change colors. Classic games like Pokemon, Zelda, Mario, the they all used the sprites to control their main character, and it's something very useful for creating games. The example is here. We have a dragonfly. You have different frames, and when you circle through these frames, you can create a flying effect. So the basic steps needed to make a sprite. You start with creating a bitmap to hold the sprite image. Then put the sprite image into the resource folder for the Java applet. Then you chop up the image into the different frames. You put the frames onto the canvas, and then you loop through these frames to create an animation. So before I start, I'll show you guys how to make a sprite image. So this is the sprite image we'll be working with today. It's a guy, and it's 3x4. It has 3x4 frames, and it's created using a Chibi Maker. It's a Japanese website that creates really cool sprites. So you can choose your own clothing, hair color, cloak, glasses, whatever, and it's going to come out with something like this: a 3x4, like an image of 12 different frames. So when you're done with sprite, this is what it's going to look like. A guy bouncing back and forth on the screen, and if you look closely, you can see the guy actually moving his arms and legs, and that's done by circling through the frames. So I'll show you guys how to do that right now. You start with creating a fresh Java app, and then you open the resource folder. Inside the resource folder, look for drawable MDPI. Okay, then put the sprite image that you created, just drop it into the MDPI folder, and it's going to be there for us to be able to access it. So starting with the main activity, it's all default stuff. The only thing I've added is that I've added this line of code, which which is request window feature, feature no window title. This allows it to remove the top bar on the screen so that I can use the whole canvas for the image. And then I've also set the content view instead of the default layout. I've set it to game view, which allows the Java app to start right away instead of having the user to manually open the app. So I've created a game view class, and this is where the initialization will lead to. So a game view class controls the whole outlook of the app. So it extends surface view, which is the background of the background of the app. With the holder, a holder creates holds the properties of the background, and under it I have three methods. So the first one is when the surface is destroyed, which means when the background is destroyed, the game loop running is false. This means it stops running. When the background is created, the game loop starts to run right away, and this means the animation will start to run right away. And if the surface changed, then you put the new parameters inside and update constantly the background. And something very important you have to do is to make sure that you create a bitmap. So right here, I have a private bitmap variable. So this is essentially an object that stores the pixels of the sprite image. So after having the variable, I declare it here using this line of code. It accesses the bad one, which is sprite image we have right here in drawable MDPI, and then stores it into BMP, and this allows us to use it later. And then the last line of code I have onDraw here. This controls the drawing function of the canvas. So I have, first of all, as you see here, I set the background color to black, and I have the canvas in the onDraw function. So next thing we have is the sprite class. It's something you have to create. A sprite class controls the animation portion, the animation portion of the whole sprite. So you start with declaring a variable, the rows, 4 rows, and I've declared 3 columns. You also state the x and y coordinates, the speed, the current frame, which keeps track of which frame is currently on, and the width and height of the bitmap. We start with the setter method. Sorry if I'm not going into detail with the code, just because of the time limit, but I have the code on the you have the code on the handout in front of you, and this is just to show you what each component of the code does. So this is a setter. It sets the local variables to the parameters it receives, which is the image and the width. This is an update method, so every time it will the image will get updated. So here it says if the image hits the bounds, it will go into the opposite direction. And then lastly, the onDraw. So how to loop this takes sorry, I'm stuttering because I'm just so excited about this. But this takes care of the updating and the looping of the animation. So we start with update, which leads to here. It updates the direction, and then it goes to update the animation frame. So how that works is that, see here, you have your sprite animation. You have 3 columns. Okay, so you take the width of the whole image, divide by 3. Then that's the width of each frame. Then you take there's 4 rows. You take the height of the whole image, divide by 4. You get the height of each frame that you need. And then you create a rectangle based on those dimensions. Here you have the x coordinate, y coordinate, x plus the width, x plus the height, and that gives you a rectangle. You cut that rectangle, and that gives you a frame. So in the beginning, you have a current frame that keeps track of which frame you're on, so that you don't loop through the same frame twice. Finally, we have the game loop thread class, and this controls the whole looping of the frames. So what I have here is 10 frames per second. It's what I created. Oh, sorry. 1,000 frames per second. And there's many ways you can keep track. How I use is just a millisecond count. So every 1,000 ticks, which is 1,000 milliseconds, which is 1 second, it will loop through an image. You can also use a timer if you want. And that's essentially the whole app. You put it together, and again, you'll see this person running back and forth. If it hits the bounds, it goes in the opposite direction, and it just keeps on looping through the animations. Alright, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.